Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are doing our fourth live stream in Mythographic Magical Earth by Joseph Catimbang. I'm using Inktense Pencils for this page. I'm just quickly getting set up. So do come join me, grab your pencils, and let's have a chat for the next 2 hours. Right, I'm just carrying on setting up. So we are coloring the giraffes. And yeah, the trees are coming along. We need to do a lot more work on them. I need to work on the trees. Hi Leslie, how are you? It's great to have you. I also want to work on the background and the clouds. So I'm thinking for the clouds, maybe a light pink into a white, and then maybe from the center out. Maybe the center is like a yellow going into a pink. So I did a thing. I went and bought the 28 new Inktense pencils. So I'm very excited, and I've done a whole video dedicated to them. So I'll put that up on the channel as soon as I can edit it. So I'm very excited about that. I'm glad you're well, Leslie. I hope you've had a good weekend. So let's have a look. These are the new colors. So really yay! So pretty. So I'm definitely going to use the pink flamingo. I want to use that for the background. So I think it's quite a gentle pink. So we'll do that. And then I'm looking at those beautiful colors, and I even did like a hack in my book. And I taped it in so I don't have to have everything so spread out. So it's a bit of a touch and go. Do I use like a sun yellow for like a setting sun kind of thing, or a rising sun, or do I go more the gold and do that faded in? So I'm not really sure. No, I don't think there is a lack of color, Leslie. I think they actually really do complement the full 72 set very well. So I really like the gold and the golden sun. They really fill the gap between the cadmium yellow and the Cillian yellow. So over here, they really fill this range up really well. I do like that we have the mango and the orange sorbet, because it gives me a bit more orange. So here I've got like more of a rustic orange and then just one orange. So those oranges really do help. And then if you look here, there's very dark pinks. There's no other pinks. So the pink flamingo, I feel, is a really nice addition. It really just gives a nice pinky color in there. Then here we've got the sugar plum and the amethyst, which I feel really fills the gap here between the red, violet and the fuchsia. And then you've got the amethyst, which is a softer purple here in this bracket. So there's a lot of them that actually do complement really well. Here this range of blues is quite dark, so they've brought in a few more lighter blues. The lapis blue and the Malibu I thought are a great addition. I like the mineral blue. I think that would work really well with whateras, whereas if I look in the 72 set, I only have these options, and these are almost a bit too green, and these are too dark. The browns are also really dark. So in the 72 set here, I've got dark chocolate, dark brown, and then these more reddish, orangey tones. So I really am pleased that they brought in the burnt umber and the natural brown, and even this dark mink. I feel these are lovely for trees, and I love this olivine color. It really is just really pretty. It's like a pale green, no, not a pale green, oh, one of the Prismacolors. It looks like that. I'm not too sure about this one. It's quite a bright green, almost like a spring green kind of thing in a Prismacolor set, or a true green. So they are very, very helpful in certain places. I think that they complement really, really well. So I'm very, very pleased with them. And because I use my pencil so much, I think that they are a good buy. Okay, so I am looking for the Sherbet Lemon, which I have with me. And then, yeah, I think we'll just start with the background. I want to get a bit more color on this page. And then I'll probably use the Fuschia for the clouds, and just see what we need to add in there. And then I did go and buy the Caran d'Ache palette, which I think I mentioned last Monday. So let's have a look. I hope they will be in the US soon. They really, really are lovely. And I think it's going to be worth the wait. I really do. Okay, so I'm gonna try this. Hopefully I can get this these colors to blend. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want the Sherbet Lemon. And I'm going to use my bigger paintbrush, which is a number 3. Oh, no worry, Leslie. All right, so just get some water on the palette. Okay, so I'm thinking kind of yellow around this section here. So let's have a look. I'm going to have it quite faint for a start because I'm not 100% sure how to approach this. And I'd rather build up slowly than build up too much yellow and then it's really difficult. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do the skin on this girl in Inktense. It's a bit of a unknown for me right now. Because I'm like, do I layer up the color? How am I going to do this? it's hard to know how high up to take the yellow actually. Does it go all the way up? How far before we bring in some pink? So I'm going to put down some of the pink Flamingo. Can't wait to actually use this color. So up here, I know this will be quite dark, so I don't mind making this quite dark. Of course, the nice thing with the Inktense and even watercolors, once it's dry, you can, it does fade a bit, so we can always build up the color. I really wanted to challenge myself to not do a standard blue background. The nice thing is that the yellow and pink will kind of make an orange, so it's not going to be the end of the world. Right, so I'm just going to let this side dry, and then we can always come back and build it up when it's a bit more, when it is dry. So that's the thing with Inktense and watercolors, is between layers you do want to have it dry completely. I find with backgrounds, doing the Inktense this way really helps to get a smoother blend and one with less lines, as opposed to taking the pencil, coloring the background, and then using the water to activate the pencil. So we'll let that dry, and then I'll add to it as after it's dried. So we'll move somewhere else now. So I'm thinking that this here is actually a cloud. Welcome back, Leslie. So I'm thinking if I do it this sort of way and then have pink at the bottom with the clouds, it will work quite nicely. Oh, thank you. Now I don't mind if the yellow gets onto her skin because that will just give her skin a yellow undertone. And that's okay. Okay, I'm going to come back here and just deepen this up a bit. So I want it to be quite dark at the top and then becoming lighter at the bottom. So is anybody wanting to participate in Mermaid? Because it is now officially May, so Mermaid is going to kick off for quite a few people. Oh, understandable. I mean, if you're not into mermaids, then yeah. It is a fun, mermaid is quite fun. I mean, some colorists, they participate in the whole event, and then they have live streams, and some of the artists who actually provide the mermaid pages will do color along live streams, and so they do make a bit of a fuss over it. I never get to their live streams though, because life always just happens, but I don't mind coloring in mermaids, so I'll probably color one page and then move on to something else. But I like the fantasy world, so mermaids and fairies, as long as they're the nice ones, I like them. Oh yes, she's lovely. Yeah, Malpamini is really lovely. I'm waiting for her book Enchanted Earth to arrive. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it will be really lovely. I think this is actually supposed to be sky. Let's see, maybe that will work. Okay, so now I want to do the clouds. So I think I'm going to have to build up the color slowly. It looked like a great book when I saw the flip through of it. I saw it quite a while ago before it was released, and I think someone had received it before the pre-orders were open, and they were to give a review. So it was a really lovely book, and yeah. I'm still not 100% sure yet how the best way of coloring her books though. because it doesn't look like it needs a lot of faff over details. So yeah, I'm still not 100% clear on how to approach them. So color these clouds with a light pink and then build up the layers from there. And then we'll probably go over it with a white gel pen. And I'll swap to a much smaller brush to do the details. I'm glad that it's one-sided. That will help with what mediums we can use. I'm going to make that a bit of sky. I like one-sided books. They really give you a lot more medium diversity. I find these days I lean towards either good quality paper or single-sided images, or both. I'm sorry you're having a rough day, Brittany. Well, I wish I could offer you some advice or ways to help you, but I don't really have any. I just hope that it improves, and I hope that for a little while you can come here and chat to us and just feel a bit of a reprieve and just some breathing space. It's really, really great to have you join us. Leslie, that's hilarious. Just for one page. I don't blame you. I did that for a friend. I bought Apol's Forest Girl coloring book just for a friend because it had baking in it. And my friend is a baker. Well, a hobby baker. She's really amazing with what she can do. So I wanted to get a picture, do her a picture. And anyway, I ended up spilling coffee on that page, and I did a different page for her in the end, but yeah, I think it's all part of it, isn't it? Oh, hugs, Brittany. It doesn't sound like you're in an easy situation right now. Okay, so let's have a look. I'll let that dry. So we'll come, so this is still quite wet. So I'm going to pause there and look for some dusky purple so I can do the giraffe tongue. So we don't need an awful lot of it, just a little bit. Hi Dawn, how are you? It's great to have you. Okay, so I want to come here to the giraffe tongue and just deepen this up a bit. But it's a bit too much water. Okay, we'll let that dry. I might have to bring in a white pencil and do highlights. I honestly do not have a skin tone color in this set. So I was thinking of doing the roof like a grey brown, a grey blue. Good luck, Dawn. I hope that it is productive. We cleaned the house today, and I then had to go through and sort out the boys' clothing, the older two boys, because my middle son needed some more pants and tops. So I had to go through the oldest child's clothes and find out what doesn't fit, what does fit, and then give the hand-me-downs to the other child and then pack it all away. So it was necessary but good. And then I rearranged the one bedroom because it just felt too cluttered. So I was like, no, we need to open it up a bit. So that was most of the morning. But you got to do what you got to do. I think I'm going to use a bit of tan and then saddle brown on her skin. Oh, I hope I don't regret this. Okay, but I'm going to make it very light. Oh, thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to use some tan. And I want it quite watery because I really don't want to be a lot on here. I actually think I need to change my brush and go to a slightly bigger size, a smaller size. So with something this small, as far as people go, I suppose here is where you could get away with, you know, just a skin tone pencil, because it's very difficult to add much detail. And then we'll let that dry, and then I'll come in with some saddle brown. I'm sometimes so glad I can write down all these color combos. I don't write all of them, but when I do write some of them, it does help. So I'm just getting out the oak and the dark chocolate, and we can come in and work a bit more on the tree trunk. So if I bring down some oak and some dark chocolate. And then I'm going to come down here and work on this part of the tree. So first we'll do some oak. And I'm going to alternate between the dark oak and the oak, the dark chocolate and the oak. My goodness. And then bring in some of the oak and try quickly blend it out. So this is a number 1 paintbrush. So I rinse the brush and then I dab it on a paper towel to just get rid of any excess. That's I've been watching a few more videos on watercolor pencils and, you know, those sort of techniques, and I'm regularly coming across videos where the person doing the video actually shows you that you are to clean your brush between colors, and it just helps keep the colors from muddying up, and the painting stays a lot more crisp. agree with what you're saying, Leslie. There are quite a lot of techniques. So on Amazon there is a book for water paints, and you can practice on it. Teaches you all the techniques. It gives you images and step-by-step instruction on how to do it. I know people like Ken Matsuda, they also provide instructions in their books. Yes, it is in an Asian language. I don't know whether it's Japanese or Chinese or Korean, but with Google Translator you can also decipher that. So I think like there's a difference between learning a technique and then learning how to apply it in a coloring book. Now, as far as I've seen, the techniques for colored pencils, the techniques for watercolor, they are the same regardless of whether you use a sketchbook or a coloring book. The only difference is your coloring books have different papers. So that comes more with experience and learning how to handle the different paper in a way that makes sense for you. So with like the Amazon paper, some people really like to use water-based markers or alcohol markers and then go over that with colored pencil. Other people just prefer to use colored pencil or just markers. So with the coloring books, it's more learning your style, but the technique on how to use the mediums, I find, stays the same. And if you want to grow into more like arty, professional kind of level, then you'd get way more fussy with your paper quality. So I learned most of my technique watching what other people do, and just observing, really. Exactly, I agree with you, Leslie. We've got to learn how to use what we have, what's available to us, and then also learn how to identify how we learn and just experiment. Art is about experimenting. It's about expression. It's not always about getting it right. It's really just a way of expressing yourself. And it's a process. So art is really just a process. And you know, I suppose we have to also look and say, well, why do we color? What's the reason we color? Are we coloring to grow our art level? Are we coloring because we just need a way of sort of an outlet? What is the reason that each of us colors? And then from there, it helps us keep things in perspective. So for me, coloring is an opportunity to have an outlet, but it's also creative expression, and it does provide me with challenges. I love the challenge of wrestling and overcoming things, so I do enjoy that. And that's why this particular page with painting it with Inktense is like really helpful and so good for me, because it's pushing me out of my comfort zones. I'm learning a lot. And it's the love for learning that I really enjoy, whether it's from other people, a YouTube video or a book. It doesn't really matter. I just love to learn. So those are my thoughts on it. Interestingly enough, speaking of books and coloring, there is a book, I don't remember what it's called, but it actually goes and it explains all the meaning behind every single color. And it's not just like, you know, the color yellow is a sign of luck or happiness. It goes into each specific color, which I actually thought is really, really cool, because if a person likes to be symbolic in their artwork, you can be very symbolic with color. So it was something I found out last year, I think it was. Hi Carly, it's great to have you. Brittany, if you need different examples, so the best advice I could give you would be to pick one element at a time and one medium at a time. So if it's painting or if it's pencils, or so pick the medium you want to learn, and then I would suggest taking one thing at a time. So maybe learning how to color clouds, and just learn how to do that with pencils, and then learn, or with paint, or whichever it is that you prefer, and then slowly build things up for yourself. Maybe that might help a bit more with that. There was some advice I heard on Color My World's YouTube channel way back a few years ago when I started coloring. She was very much like, you know, pick one element, learn how to do that well, and then go on to the next element, and soon enough you will be able to expand and color a full page. So I think for me, stones was one of the early ones that I tried to really work on, and then at one stage I went into coloring portraits, and then slowly but surely, and I'm still teaching myself how to do that. So I don't know, maybe that might be a helpful approach for you. I really do understand. I mean, I don't understand what it's like to have autism, but I understand a little bit. We know a few people who have autism, and I've seen how they have to be a lot more creative in applying things and the understanding themselves and the way they learn. It is different to people who are neurotypical, so I appreciate that. But unfortunately, don't really know much more than that, really, how to advise you or encourage you, other than to just keep going, you know. Right, so it's slowly building up this layers. If I can just get this bottom bit to kind of match the top, I think that will work well. And then once, I might have to come in with a different technique, but I'll still stick to the pencils, to the Inktense. I just might have to use the actual pencils themselves for some of the more finer work, because this is hard. Oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever worked with such a fine brush for so long. I mean, I think this is what, 8 hours It's taken me 8 hours just to color this page. Oh my gosh. I feel like I have the patience of Job. Yes. Oh, Job was amazing. Oh my gosh. He had a very good outlook on life, didn't he? He had far more patience than what I do, that's for sure. Yes, it is paying off. But at some point I'm going to have to go, okay, I've done it. It's okay. It can be done. So YouTube keeps suggesting that I put on moderators. So I wanted to know if, Leslie, if you've had any experience with that, or if you know anyone who has had experience with that. I haven't put it on yet because I'm just not 100% sure yet how I want to do it. So I do need to do more research on moderators for my YouTube videos. Oh, okay. That's good to know. Yes, I agree. People skills are important. I must say I haven't, I'm not sure about spiral bounds. I think that they're really great in one way, and then I'd get irritated when the spiral parts start to kind of turn and come off. So I get a little irritated with that, and then I have to, just twirl it back up. So my experience with spiral bounds are more with books than with coloring books. I've got a couple coloring books with them, and I do agree that they are flexible and easy to work with, because at least you can fold them. I don't know if I'm brave enough to take apart a coloring book and then have it spiral bound. I know people do it. I have thought if I get enough PDFs and print out enough PDFs, I would do that and get them spiral bound. So if you take apart your coloring books and spiral bound them, I think you're very brave. And maybe one day I'll take a page out of your book and follow suit. Or maybe the spiral bounds I have in my other some of the books at home are just maybe a bit older or not as good quality. I don't know. I cut out a page in one of my Coloring Heaven books to color because I was afraid I would mess it up. I think if I haven't spent a fortune on a book, then I might be more brave to do it. Although I must say Kirby books, some of them aren't too expensive. But he has got quite a few double page spreads. So, yeah, I don't know. I think there's pros and cons. You know, right, so if I dip the pencil in the water, I can come in, I can make marks on the tree. And it will still be inky. And then what you do is you dip it in the water and then you dab it off on a paper towel. So you get the control of the pencil, but it's still that inky look. And then you have to just dip it a few times. Oh, that makes sense, Kylie. Now I'm just taking a wet paintbrush and just trying to blend it out. I'm just getting my my sharpener. I need a bit of a sharper point. And then I can use it a bit more effectively. Right, so there we go. Just dip and pull out. You can do the same thing with the white Inktense, which I'll show you in a minute, because I want to add a bit more highlights to the giraffe. Okay, so I'm going to bring in some of that oak. And just try and blend so that it's not quite, it's like a beautiful transition and not a dark and then shocking light. Just make it a bit more blended. Sorry, I'm concentrating quite hard on this. Oh my goodness. So what I like by doing this technique is I get a lot more details and depth going on. So like some bits stick out a bit more than others. So if I take the same thing and I move this up here, I can deepen some of these shadows. Just dipping the tip in. If I move this slightly over, I'll try to see if I can show you. Okay. Just really deepen up my shadows. And some oak here, and just try and blend that out a little bit. And sometimes you just need to use a pencil. And that's the beauty of the watercolor pencils, including the Inktense. You can use the pencils when you need that finer detail, as opposed to watercolor paint, which you need really thin, fine brushes and really, really good motor skills. Right, we're just going to pretend that that's part of the tree. Brittany, a lot of people feel the same way you do about Amazon printed paper. And I think, you know, Amazon is not really out for necessarily what works best for its, you know, artists, as it is about what is cheaper and what makes money. So I think it's just a case of capitalism, really. And I looked into them. So on my channel there is a video where I looked at quality paper and Amazon quality paper. So a lot of your cheaper books are being published, and the illustrators, they can't afford the more expensive papers, because it takes a lot of money for them to design the book, get the good paper, find a publisher. So it sometimes isn't always as easy as Amazon just printing better on better paper. Amazon, I think, is just too big to necessarily care per se, and I don't mean that in a ugly way. I just think that they're a really big corporation, and they've got other things that they would rather invest their money in than good quality paper for coloring books, which is a pity for us who would enjoy better quality. So I think these days a lot of your artists are looking more into how can they provide PDF pages, and I think that's a bit on more how some of them are thinking. I stand to correction on all of this. It's just what I've noticed and what my thoughts are. However, some colorists, what they do is they will buy Amazon books, cut it out, and then they'll go and copy the images onto better paper. Or like Christine Caron has now, her one book, she's published it on, I think her publisher is now the same people who published Jasmine Beckett Griffith books. So that book, what's it called? Wildflower Coloring Book or something like that. That should be on really, really good paper. But yeah, it's tricky because I think some of your artists might also be coming from, they're not necessarily always coming from European countries. They might be coming from like the Philippines or places where things are a little bit cheaper. So for them, you know, then the cost of a publishing house with decent paper might be just too much for them. So it's really complex. Maybe it's worth also noting which coloring books you actually like, and then just buying those books if they're on good quality paper. So like if you like Hannah Carlson or Maria Trolle's, oh my goodness, I can't talk today. Their books are on really good paper. Christine Caron's Amazon paper isn't too bad. Sometimes the Amazon paper itself fluctuates. I don't know if those illustrators make as much money as we think they do. I think some of them definitely are making money, but but I think Amazon most likely takes quite a large chunk away from them, and then if they were self-published. So I think Joanna Basford is probably more, she's more popular, so she's had time. I mean, she's had over 10 years to develop her brand and her name. So I wouldn't even, you know, Joanna Basford, she's got good quality pictures on good quality paper available on Amazon, but it's not printed by Amazon, it's printed by her publishing house. Who else is there that I can think of? Kirby Books, I don't think their paper are bad. I think that paper is pretty good. The Mythographic Paradise paper is pretty good. I mean, as you can see, I'm using Inktense in it, and it does warp, but it doesn't bother me. Christine Karen, I think she's moving on. So Hannah Lynn, I don't know. Maybe she just prefers that way. Maybe it's more beneficial for her to have Amazon printed books. But then again, I think she also does have PDFs, so she makes a lot, she'll get some money through that. But yeah, I don't think they make as much money as we think they do. I think they would have to sell a lot more coloring books to actually make the money we think they make. It's like on YouTube or any of these, you get paid a portion, and then the bigger company house, you know, it gets its cut, and its cut is generally half of what you would get. I haven't tried Lulu Mayo. Yes, that is a true observation, Brittany. You do get different versions with different paper, and I have heard colorists even comment about that. And I think there it's more a case of finding out which one is more suited to you. So for me, like with Hannah Carlson, I get the English translated ones. I don't know which version they are, but I don't mind the paper. I'm always patient to wait for it because I just like it in English, I suppose. And I don't really personally see the point of having the same book in two different versions. But I have heard, I think it's Kanoka Igusa's book, so I'd say Kanoka Igusa's Rhapsody in the Forest has probably got slightly better paper than necessarily the English version available now on Amazon. But again, that's based on what I've heard people say and not necessarily based on my own experience. No, I don't think Amazon does print Lulu Mayo's books. I'm not sure who publishes her books. Yeah, so Jade Summer, Kokowayo, Hannah Lynn, Alina Lazareva, they're all Amazon printed. A lot of Christine Karen's books have been Amazon printed. I think nowadays, though, I'm trying to buy either the books that I like and don't mind the Amazon print. Tatiana Bogema is another one that's Amazon printed. Who else? Selena Fennick. Part of why I don't color a lot of her books and haven't bought a lot of her books is because it is Amazon printed and the paper is way worse. So here's the funny thing. Selena Fennick and Tatiana Bogema books printed by Amazon are on way worse paper than Christine Caron's Amazon printed book. But now Gracia Salvo's book available on Amazon printed on their paper is even worse because it's got like some shine to it. So there's a fluctuation even available on Amazon. Now, as far as I know, because I did a bit of research into this, when an illustrator uploads their book to be published and printed by Amazon, they have only got 2 options of paper. And 2 options for printing. They usually pick 90 GSM paper and then colored in ink or colored in color. So the artists don't actually have a lot of options themselves. I'd have to get out all my notes because I actually was noting down all the different papers. If you go into the book description, you can also see on Amazon sometimes what paper they've used. Yeah, was it Wild Soul that you bought, Cully? Because that book is dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I've actually decided that is the only book I'm probably going to copy onto cardstock and color off my own cardstock, because I can't do that paper. But now I'm not overly thrilled at the fact that I'm going to have to use up a lot of ink to print onto better paper. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I'm loath to buy any more of Gracia Salvo's books on Amazon because of the paper. Okay, I think I should leave these trees alone and move back to the beautiful clouds. So I'm going to bring down some fuchsia. Yes, Wild Soul is a really, really lovely book. It's just the paper. I'm convinced they printed it on the wrong side. They printed it on the shiny side and not on the matte side. So this is the fuchsia. So I'm mixing the fuchsia and the pink flamingo. Yes, Brittany, you are right. We would have less problems with our various art material if books were printed on better paper. Whether or not Amazon will actually do that is, I suppose, debatable. I think for me, it's more finding what I like, what makes it easy for me, and how do I get around the issue. And I mean, even like Erie's books, the paper isn't fantastic. You'll find as you color more and get more experience, you start to notice even things like Erie's books, for instance, aren't as necessarily as flexible to the way that you color. So it really is a journey of finding what works for you. So I find with Erie's books, I still haven't finished a page in it. Mainly because I haven't got my head around it yet. Yeah, Pamela's Passion for Pencils did do a whole series. I remember watching some of it, and I found that she hasn't had much of an issue with the Amazon paper. She found Prismacolors work really well on Amazon paper. And I must say, I do agree with her. I have found that Prismacolors do work pretty well. And I think also polys, although you do have to layer polys. So if you're okay with doing quite a few layers, that's okay. Yeah, Brittany, I agree with you. The pink range is it needs lighter pinks. So that's what excited me with the pink Flamingo, is it's a very beautiful pink. It's more pink than some of the others. But as you can see here, what I'm doing, by scratching the pencil onto a palette board or a saucer, and then picking it up with water and applying it, that helps me get those softer pinks. It's a little bit more of a faff, but at least you get the lighter shades, so you can work with it. I keep sticking my hand in my wet Inktense. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to make this bit quite dark because the clouds are going to kind of blocking, so I'll just make that bit darker. If you can get to the Inktense before it dries, you can kind of move it out a little and blend it a bit more. No, I think I just need to not put my hand down on top of my paint. It's more I'm sticking it right here. So, but yes, I have thought of getting one of those gloves. Especially when I do stuff with like chalk. Ugh. I don't like getting smudges. Yes, I plugged my phone in. I did. I'm so sorry. I felt so bad. Oh my gosh. And the worst part was I actually had the charger right there next to me on the floor with every intention of plugging it in, and I didn't. But yes, this time it's plugged in. And oh, I think the worst part is I know it's probably not going to be the last time I do that. Oh no, your poor puppy. Oh, is it a he or a she? I can't remember. It must be getting so big by now. How old is your puppy, Leslie? Oh wow, 4 months and 4 pounds. Oh man, sweetie. They grow up so fast. Goodness gracious, that is so light. Oh my gosh. Thank you for telling me in kilos. I'm not as well versed in the pounds as I am in the kilos. So I appreciate that. Wow, that is so little. But then again, I suppose chihuahuas are little. So what made you decide to get a chihuahua puppy? Oh, okay, that's fair enough. Never had a chihuahua. Only had big dogs. The smallest dog we had growing up was a Maltese. My mom loves Maltese dogs. So we had a couple of those when we were kids. But yeah, not a chihuahua. So how did you enjoy the 2 weeks of Kirby? Right, so I think this page is coming along pretty okay. Yeah, it must have been really great fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We're quite a lot of the YouTubers based in the US. Oh, that's handy. That's very handy. You don't have as many time zones lagging behind, as opposed to, if you had somebody in Australia and then in Europe and then the States. Gosh, who would have thought clouds would take so long? My goodness. Well, at least we finished the tree trunks. The giraffes are done. The background is pretty much done. I don't think I want to deepen it up too much because I don't want to draw attention to the background when the tree and the giraffes are more important. So this is where keeping your focal point on par is important. But you do need enough color to actually make sure your nothing's getting lost. Hi Penny, thank you. Glad you like it. I'm starting to think that this page is going to take about 6 to 7 videos in total. Because I still want to work more on the trees, on the leaves, and then I need to do this middle bit and these leaves floating down. And I think if we take a white gel pen over all these edges, it's going to look really, really nice. So let me see if I can show you. So this is just a Sakura jelly roll. I mean, you could use acrylic paint for this, but I'm hoping by doing this it will also keep the clouds looking quite fluffy. So hopefully by doing the white highlights around the clouds, it will just kind of make it a bit more cloud-like. I won't do it on all the clouds, I'll just do it in a little bit of a section. So sometimes I like doing the gel pen as I go because I get a sense of like I'm finishing something, whereas if I leave it to the very end, nothing feels finished. So I think I need to sometimes satisfy that, get that dopamine, you know, boom, yay, you're actually accomplishing something. Or maybe it's the part of me that likes to tick things off. So I have quite a lot of editing to do. I have done my end of the month completed pages, so I need to edit that, and I've got a haul video coming up because I decided I needed to get a few more things, and I then bought some books off book depository before they closed down. So I just went on a little bit of a splash, but then I'm reminded of those L'Oreal adverts, you know, because you're worth it. So it's like, oh well, you know, I'll just buy myself, treat myself, because I'm worth it. So I'm going to have that to do. I've done a separate video. I just need to edit it regarding the new Inktense pencils. There was another one I think I had done. So yeah, so those are coming up on the channel in May, hopefully early May, at the latest mid-May. And then I've got a few color along videos that I've already filmed and need editing, so that will be happening. Oh, and then I've got to do my plans for May into June. So yeah, that's going to be a good one. And then my children have gone and given me a coloring challenge for the summer, and they've decided I need to try and complete a coloring book of their choice by the end of August. So I've said to them there's probably no way I'm going to get it done, but I will give it my best and see how much I can actually do. So you might see the same book featured a few times throughout the next few months. Okay, so I'm going to stop with the gel pen there before I get too carried away. Okay, so there you can see it actually looks really nice in fluffy clouds. So we've done about half the clouds. So hopefully next time I see you, so next week Monday, we can focus on the house and these other leaves. I might leave the trees here for last. I need to build this tree up and this tree up, at least the foliage. Maybe deepen up a few bits over here in the top sections. And then I need to use a pencil and come in and do the eyelashes on the giraffe's eye. But while we're doing this, we can just do the whites of his eye. Okay, so let's come and do a bit more on her skin. Now, I think it was this color. Saddle brown. So I need a little bit of saddle brown. So this is just a little bit of saddle brown. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of the pink Flamingo to try and just pink up her skin tone a little bit. Yeah, okay. I probably daren't do more than that. Okay, I'm going to leave her skin alone before it goes bad. Oh my gosh. Oh, you have to have so much bravery to do skin with water paints. I'm coming back to the clouds because I feel safer with the clouds. I don't feel safe coloring skin with paint. Oh my gosh. So up until this page, the most I've colored an entire page with Inktense has been Magical City by Lizzie Mary Cullen. So I have stepped out hugely with this page because I'm doing skin, I'm doing trees and animals and clouds and attempting a little bit of realism in this. So I am really out of my comfort zone and absolutely loving it. So I'm so glad you guys decided you wanted to see me do Inktense pencils in a mythographic book and then challenge me to color the entire page with Inktense only. Are you giving me permission to use a light Prisma? Because I will send you a virtual hug right now if you are. Yay! I can use a light Prisma. All right, I'm sending you a big virtual hug. Oh, thank you. You've made my life easier. Hi, Bubbles Studio. It's great to have you. Thanks for joining. Oh, thank you. So I'm still alternating between the pink flamingo and the fuchsia. I'm using the fuchsia in my deeper areas. And then I go in over that with my pink flamingo. So my hubby came and brought me a cup of coffee, so I have to try and remember to actually drink it. I'm notorious for not drinking my coffee, to the point where I actually have a thermos cup my folks got me for my birthday, and I use that now to keep my coffee hot throughout the day, because otherwise I'll just heat up 2 to 3 cups of coffee within the morning, which is a bit ridiculous. I tend towards decaf more than, you know, coffee per se, because I like the flavor of coffee, but I don't really like buzzing too much on caffeine. Well, it's decaf coffee, really. I used to drink coffee, and then I went off it as part of a diet thing I was doing a few years ago. And after that, I found I couldn't go back onto coffee, except for an odd 1 or 2 cups well, generally 1 cup in the morning. So I went on to decaffeinated coffee, which is what I drink now, just because I like the flavor. But even then, some brands of decaf aren't as nice as other brands. I really like this pink flamingo. It's a lovely color. What I should be doing is actually working on getting back onto herbal teas. Well, that makes sense. At least that way you can have the coffee energy for your classes. Right, so we are almost there with these clouds. We are almost there with these clouds. Can you believe it? Well, I can't thank you all enough for voting for the Inktense pencils and for this page. It's really, really been such a fantastic experience to really color something so detailed using a paintbrush and Inktense. So it won't be long before we'll have to give it some thought as to what color, well, what page we're going to color in after we've done this. we could do a Kirby page or a Clara Markova page. I'm not really sure. I'll have to have a look. Oh, I tried oil pastels in a coloring page just recently, and that was an experience. And I've still decided I do not like oil pastels. I think it's also because, again, we're coming back to that discussion we were having about paper. I think oil pastels need a specific paper to really do well, and the coloring book I was using just wasn't working. So I think oil pastels maybe on the right paper could be okay, but yeah, when I tried them, it was just really, really tricky. So I've decided I still don't like oil pastels. I would sooner color a page with oil paint than color with pastels. All right, so there we go. So now we can carry on with our gel pen. And then I think what I'm going to do after I finish putting all the gel pen is come along and use the actual, dip the pencil into the water and deepen up some of the shadows areas a bit more, if we need to. Does anyone do work with gouache paints? And if you have, how do you get on with them? Oh gosh, oh, I can't tell you. I tried blending with OSM, and that just lifted the oil pastels completely off the page. I used my finger, and that just made a big mess. And in the end, I just decided to use the oil pastels themselves to try blend, and that was a bit better. Oh, that's so funny, Bubble Studio. I haven't gone into the gouache paint yet, although I am very curious about them, so maybe that will be next year's coloring challenge. Oh, nice. Oh, do let me know, please, which one you end up going for. Oh, fair enough, Leslie. It's hard to always get to all of our coloring supplies. And there's so much. I mean, like, there's gelatos, which I still haven't even ventured into. But as far as I understand, the gelatos probably aren't too different to the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s. So, I mean, if they aren't too different, then I won't be in a hurry to try the gelatos because I already have the Neocolor 2s. Oh, that is a tricky one, Bubble Studio. If you've had good experiences with Holbein. As far as I know, Holbein are a really, really good brand, but they are expensive. Would you buy them off Amazon Japan, or is there a different place that you can get them? Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. Just trying to come around and finish all these clouds. What I should have done is start from that side and then work my way over. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, if Amazon is the cheapest, then that's a good place to start. I don't think I know the Turner brand. I'd have to look into them. Right. That is our clouds and background done. So I think I'm going to stop here because I could honestly carry on with this for another 2 hours, and that would take me to 12:30. So I think this is a good place to pause. I'm going to zoom it out a little bit more so you can get a fuller view. There you have it. So that's what it looks like. And yeah, I think it's coming along really, really well. Fingers crossed we can finish it on Monday. I really hope so. But there is still a lot more work to do because I need to deepen up the leaves here and then do this middle part and the falling leaves. So quite a bit left, but it's coming along. I think the colors are working really, really well. yeah, I'm going to give some thought to the house. I'm not yet sure exactly how we're going to do the house, and I don't want to give her brown hair if the house is going to have brown like on the door. So I need to just think very carefully around this side and figure out what I'm going to do. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining me. It's been absolutely lovely chatting to you all and just spending this time with you. Really appreciate it. I hope you have a really good week, and I will see you in all my other videos. So take care. Thanks again everyone, and have a lovely weekend. Not weekend, because weekend's now over. Bye for now.